report. It is January 1st, 2025. And holy Lord, did we have a day today. We are going to be taking you through all of the stuff, and then, okay, we're starting off right here today on the get it out of the way early, Borg. So, yeah. I don't know, maybe it's the X-Class flare, whatever the heck it is. But we are going to be covering a lot of different things, okay? And just know that I think you should be vigilant. There was a video put out on PrepperNow, which I will be going on to after, not for a long time, but I just crossed over 40,000 subscribers. So that's something. But it's more than that. It's honestly, numbers don't matter. What really does matter is the message. And the message, hopefully, people took from the earlier video is when you're out in public, be careful. You don't have to be paranoid, okay? This isn't about paranoia. It's not about trying to freak you out. If you've been around my channel, I try to keep things based in reality. It's why I don't grow like some of the others. But I still do grow, obviously. Because I think that the people that keep their heads about them, one thing I've always kind of thought I was good at was no matter what was going on, I kept my head. I never freaked out, and I always stayed calm, you know? There's never any time to freak out. There's absolutely nothing on this planet that will be made better by freaking out. And trust me, if my family were to come in and say, well, you freak out a lot on a little different things. Yeah, but when it comes to like harrowing situations or problems or stuff like that, I don't know. I try to keep my head about me. And I've had a few things go down in my life that were tough. So I'll just leave it at that. And yeah, there was actually one. All right, I'll tell this story. I used to work in Times Square, okay? And there was a night where a guy brought a vehicle in and tried to do something. And thankfully, it was thwarted. But this vehicle was not too far away from where I was, and a lot of people were freaking out, and the entire area was kind of cordoned off. And I had to deal with the police department. I had a PBA card, and I knew much of the, beat cops that would walk around, and one of them who I knew and would come in, and we took care of the guy. The guy was a nice guy, and he took care of us, and we took care of him. And he came in and he said, there's something major going on. And, of course, some of the patrons were starting to freak out. And there are people that are wanting to run out and kind of go away. And I went out and I kind of peeked out and I saw from afar what was unfolding. I didn't know exactly what it was, but it looked like the kind of situation where people would be better to stay inside. And I went in and I just basically, made an announcement and just said, hey, we don't know what's going on, but your safest place to be is right here. And it just kind of took a little bit of the tension out of the room and air, So the point I'm trying to make is, and there was nothing heroic about it, it was just like, when you're in public, when you're doing things, when you're out there, don't freak out if you get into a terrible situation. Keep your head about you, assess the situation, and make intelligent moves. That's basically it. Freaking out is never a smart thing. So that's why I try never to talk negative on the prepper community, but there are some places you can go here that they can definitely get your cortisol running. You should be aware of threats and aware of things that are going on. But at the same time, you should live your life. You should go on vacation. You should enjoy your family. You should go out into public and enjoy public spaces with other people. You shouldn't get freaked out when you see, a crowd or anything like that. So the point is that just keep your heads about you, because we're getting into some tough times. I think 2025 is going to have some issues. As I expressed last night on my 2025 threat thing, I kind of put it more specific to Tren de Aragua, but it was more of a domestic kind of attack type thing that you should be cognizant of, and here we are. So, all right, 6 minutes in, let's get started. Hopefully you got a little something out of that, and again, just keep your head about you. Live your life. Don't freak out. But, never be afraid to do things that are going to give you a good stuff. My wife keeps texting me things I got to do in the morning. I got a big morning in the morning, got dentist and other stuff. So, all right, there we go. Got it. Good. Okay, yeah, you can stop texting now. All right, she's in the next room going to bed. Here we go. Crisis report, January 1st, 2025. United States Capitol building struck by lightning on New Year's Eve. Yes, it was a foreboding sign. Multiple people were dispatched after a car plowed into a group on Bourbon Street. Very well-known story now. Federal law enforcement report that the suspect entered through Eagle Pass, Texas. Suspect citizenship remained unconfirmed, but we do know he was a native-born Texan. Blast has been heard. Smoke is now rising from Trump Tower. Cybertruck exploded at the entrance of the Trump International Hotel in Vegas. Newly released footage showed the Tesla Cybertruck exploding in front of that hotel. Law enforcement officials revealed that at least 4 suspects were involved in New Orleans. Mass shooting in Montenegro has left 10 dead, others injured. Gunman was at large. I think they've got him now. Elon Musk confirmed that the explosion near Trump's hotel involving the Cybertruck was caused by large fireworks or something placed in the truck's bed. No connection to the vehicle itself. Russia and Ukraine ended the Russian gas transit to Europe via Ukraine, so now they're scratching their heads in Europe on what to do. And I got to tell you, you want to talk about actually one of the biggest stories of today. Now, of course, I'm not trying to take away from New Orleans by any stretch of the imagination or any of the other attacks, and there were 6. Now, I've actually found out another one that happened in Italy, but we'll get to that. Of all of those, the real unfolding crisis is going to be in Europe, because they have had a lot of their gas cut off. And where they go from here, I don't know. Iran is going to hold nuclear talks with 3 European powers. South Korea sent Jeju air crash black box to the United States. FBI has made its largest bomb bust on a Virginia farm. Another underreported but important story. I don't know the specifics of that, but again, shows you just the kind of potential that is going to be there. For the last 4 years, we have literally had an open gate. Imagine you're home, you go away for a week, you just left all your windows and doors open, you come in, you better believe you're going to have some critters in your home. That's what America is right now. Saudi Arabia executes 6 Iranians for drug trafficking. Driver tried to hit as many people as possible in New Orleans. I've got some of that terrible video on my Subscribestar and Locals, not because we enjoy it, but because it is a place of free speech, and some people do want to see. I got to tell you, it is interesting to see, if anything, it's a way to war game, you know? There have been numerous truck attacks, so nobody likes to see people get hit, but at the same time, watching something like that unfold makes you kind of understand some of the physics of the moment, and could help you. You know, that split-second decision could save your life. I saw a video Thanks to my homeboy Roman Prepper who was sending me some stuff. God bless you, brother. Thanks for talking to me today. Where it showed the guy hauling you-know-what down the street. And at that point, people should have known something crazy was going on because he almost took out 6 people in the little video there. Anyway, I move on. FBI says New Orleans incident was not a terror event. We know that is now BS. Suspected explosive device found in New Orleans, according to the FBI. Stabbing suspect is in the run in New York City after knifing a man on a subway train. Good Lord. Forgot about that one. Joe says U.S. will not tolerate attacks after the New Orleans truck incident, ramming. Truck used in New Orleans attack appeared to be rented through a car-sharing app called Turo, and there is reports that the same thing for the Tesla Cybertruck in Vegas. Investigators are working to determine whether the deceased suspect of the New Orleans attack entered the country recently and whether he had a connection to ISIS, law enforcement said. According to New Orleans City Council President Helena Moreno, police confirmed that the suspect of the New Orleans attack was in full military gear and not a local to New Orleans. He's actually from Houston. Suspect attack identified as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar. Source said he was carrying an ISIS flag in the truck. Tuesday of this week, Hezbollah operatives were spotted transferring weapons from a weapons depot in southern Lebanon to nearby a vehicle, and a swift response IDF drone attacked the vehicle, weapons depot, and eliminated the threat. Russian Gazprom company has said that gas supplies to Europe via Ukraine have been halted 0800 Moscow time after export deal expires. Bulgaria and Romania today officially have become official Schengen Agreement members, regulating free movement between European Union countries. Until yesterday, the two countries were partial members with free movement by air but not by land. Reports of downing of another $30 million U.S. drone in Yemen. Al Mayadeen television reported on Wednesday morning, citing its sources in Sadah province, that an American MQ-9 drone had been shot down in the skies of northern Yemen. This is the 14th drone of that kind that was shot down by the Houthis. Two major events await the Middle East and the world in January. First, the expiration of the 60-day period of ceasefire in Lebanon and the inauguration of Donald Trump as U.S. president, which will directly affect Israel's conduct in Gaza with Iran. 5th anniversary of the elimination of Soleimani sees the streets of Tehran decorated with posters of senior officials after the axis of evil. Among those featured are Soleimani, Nasrallah, Safi al-Din, Sinwar, and Haniyeh. 2024 was a year that the Axis would like to forget. Turkey, pro-Hamas and anti-Israel demonstration on the Galatasaray Bridge in Istanbul. Has Iran become a nuclear power following a successful nuclear test? Speculations emerged in early October that Iran detonated a nuclear bomb 10 kilometers below the ground in the Semnan area, causing a 4.6 Richter scale earthquake, artificial, which was confirmed by seismography meters installed in Iran's neighboring country of Armenia. This is similar to when Pakistan recorded a 4.9 magnitude underground and a 3.6 magnitude above ground due to its nuclear test. According to experts, estimates, Iran has conducted a successful experiment equivalent to 40 kilotons of yield. That might explain the destruction of the sensitive and secret nuclear facility of the Israeli Air Force last month. In early November, another 4.6 magnitude earthquake occurred in Semnan province in Iran. Tremors were felt in Tehran, Qom, and Karaj. Unless Israel strikes very soon, the world might wake up to a nuclear Iran. Iranian currency has closed 2024 at an all-time low, 820,000 rials to $1 US. Lost another 2.5% of value in the past week. IDF spokesman in Arabic recently issued evacuation instructions for Gazans in the Jabalia area. Trump says, when I said that the criminals coming into are worse than the criminals we have in our own country, the Democrats and the fake news media have dismissed it, but it turned out to be true. Are more attacks incoming? Reporter said, are you getting the sense that there is any threat of any other potential attacks tonight on any other major cities? Senator Kennedy. Give it a moment. And we're back. Foreign Minister Yoav Gallant will make a statement tonight. Estimates suggest Gallant will resign. A deal to release hostages in exchange for imprison with 3 weeks of an additional maneuvering division will be brought for offensive activity in Gaza. Death toll has now risen to 15 in New Orleans. Louisiana governor declared a state of emergency. Shamsuddin Jabbar was a Democrat donor. New Syrian government, led by HTS, announced changes to the school curriculum today. And what does it say? Well, Jews and Christians are now described as having strayed from the true path, while phrases about defending the nation have been replaced with a focus on defending Allah. I wonder how long it'll take to get a jizya installed into Syria. For those that don't know, that is a tax on those that are not of the Muslim faith. Police investigation in New Orleans identified 3 men and 1 woman in various photographs who planted explosive device in the attack. Pipe bombs, weapons found in the vehicle used in the attack. Bombs were hidden in coolers and said to be activated remotely using a matching remote control also found in the vehicle. Authorities are investigating a Tesla Cybertruck explosion outside Trump Las Vegas hotel. FBI says they don't believe that New Orleans suspect was solely responsible and that there's others. FBI statement says FBI Houston and the Harris County Sheriff's Office are currently conducting law enforcement activity near the intersection of Hugh Road and Crescent Peak Drive, North Houston. Secured a perimeter in that area and are asking people to avoid the area. FBI Houston personnel and specialized teams will be on site for several hours. The activity is related to this morning's New Orleans attack, but due to the ongoing nature of the investigation, no further information can be provided. According to a law enforcement official, the Cybertruck that exploded outside Trump Hotel was rented via the Turo app as well, like the vehicle in New Orleans. It appeared to have a load of fireworks inside. That killed 1, injured 7. Cybertruck explosion in Vegas involved explosives that included fireworks, gas tanks, and camping fuel. Authorities believe that it was connected to a detonation system controlled by the driver, CNN said. Cybertruck explosion in Vegas involved explosives that included fireworks, gas tanks, camping fuel. Oh, that's a doubler. Hebrew media outlet Yedioth Ahronoth reports that the state of fatigue is worsening amongst Israeli soldiers due to the continuation of the war on several fronts, and the army is suffering from a shortage of manpower after about 10,000 soldiers were injured and killed in the war. And that is something that is underreported and people don't understand. If you think day-to-day life wears you down, imagine being embedded into a place that is in an active warfare. They need to cycle those people out. They come out a lot of times. They've got major PTSD. As we go into 2025 and beyond, and the specter of global conflict is eyeing us all down, just remember that it is not easy to be in an active warfare. And we're getting to the point, and Israel is kind of showing the way, where it's really going to be called the meat grinder. I mean, it chews people up and spits them out. And we're looking at situations that could be doing more of that for even our own native people. Yoav Gallant stated that this reason for resigning was his belief that recruiting ultra-Orthodox Jews is essential for security opposing a bill that would exempt most Haredi youth from military service. U.S. Army soldier Cameron John Wagenius, 20, arrested for allegedly selling and leaking sensitive customer cell records stolen from AT&T and Verizon. He has been indicted on 2 counts of unlawfully transferring confidential phone records. I wonder if he has anything to do with the Chinese hack on telecom that came out. Gaza ceasefire agreement is deadlocked. Ceasefire talks between Hamas and Israel have stalled. Agreement is not expected to be reached before Biden's term ends. Hamas demands a permanent ceasefire while Israel rejects it. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu stated that Israel will continue its military operation. 46,000 civilians lost their lives in Gaza, 110,000 injured. Destruction is massive. 74% of the houses in central Gaza, 49% in Deir al-Balah, 54.5% in Khan Yunis, 46.3% in Rafah were destroyed. 1.2 billion US dollars are needed for rubble clearance alone. Russian forces attacked Kiev with Iranian-made Shahed drones and ballistic missiles. According to Ukraine, Russian troops attacked Ukraine on New Year's Eve, launching 111 drones. Ukraine reported downing 63 Shaheds. 1 Shahed hit Kiev's central bank. Rapidly changing statements of the United States federal officials about the New Orleans attack have raised suspicions that Washington is trying to construct a new ISIS narrative. The fact that the attack took place at a time when they are clinging to the ISIS excuse to continue supporting the PKK terror organization in Syria, and the convenient story of the ISIS flag on the attacker's truck, although it was first said that it is not a terror attack by the FBI, increased suspicions that a narrative is being constructed by U.S. officials. I'm not saying I agree with that. We cover everything here and we listen to it because, well, I want to know everything. I think you do too. It would be interesting if there's some form of a new campaign against ISIS that comes out, especially all that's going on in Syria, and then after this is all unfolded in New Orleans. Syrian Foreign Minister Assad al-Shayabani has arrived in Saudi capital Riyadh, first official visit abroad. Shamsuddin Jabbar, perpetrator, New Orleans, trained at 3 U.S. Army academies. Jabbar talked about the GI Bill while being described as an Army veteran in a student newspaper. Fort Gordon NCO Academy, U.S. Army Alaska NCO Academy, United States Army Basic Combat Training. An American convoy carrying construction materials was headed to Ain al-Arab, northeast of Aleppo, to build a military base, according to local sources. Africa is currently facing more conflicts than any time since 1946, according to data from Uppsala University and Norway's Peace Research Institute Oslo. 2024, institutes recorded 28 state-based conflicts across 16 Africa's 54 countries, more than any other region and twice as many as 15 years ago. Conflict zone spans roughly 4,000 miles, covering 10% of sub-Saharan Africa's landmass, an area that has doubled in just 3 years. Americans used to get married earlier in their 20s. Now the median age for entering into a first marriage is 30.2 for men, 28.4 for women. Europe faces its coldest winter spell as gas supply concerns mount. By the way, you might want to get ready for next week. It is going to get cold. In fact, maybe this weekend. And also, if you're in the mid-Atlantic and northeast and north part of the south, like North Carolina, Tennessee, they're expecting a pretty major snow event Monday, Tuesday. Northwest Europe is bracing itself for what is expected to be later this week the coldest snap in the winter, hours ahead of the expiry, the deal for Russian gas transit via Ukraine to Central Europe. Temperatures in the UK, France, and Germany are expected to plunge at the end of this week, which would raise gas demand for heating and electricity generation. Happens as Europe is burning through its natural gas in storage at the fastest pace in years. As of December 28th, natural gas storage sites across the EU were full at 73.5% on average. According to the latest data from Gas Infrastructure Europe, UK, now no longer part of the EU, had its storage sites 56.5% full. Terror attack in Italy, stacking on to the other numerous. I think we're at, 7, 8? Villa Verruccio, near Rimini. Around 10:30 p.m. on New Year's Eve, a 23-year-old Egyptian stabbed 5 passersby with a 22-centimeter kitchen knife, including an 18-year-old who was buying cigarettes from a vending machine, as elderly couple and a young woman. When the Carabinieri arrived, it's their police, he tried to stab one of them and was shot dead. He had a Quran and a Muslim rosary in his pocket and psychotropic drugs at his house. The European Union will build fortifications along the border with Belarus and Russia, Kaliningrad, to protect the EU, will allocate 170 million euros. Over 30,000 illegal immigrants tried to cross the Polish-Belarusian border illegally in 2024. Assessments show that an attack by Israel and the U.S. on Iran's nuclear facilities will not occur, according to the Financial Times, and they never get it wrong. Shit. Excuse me. Trump administration is not interested in a military conflict with Iran and creating a new crisis. Israel also does not have the capacity to attack Iran's nuclear facilities, despite the rhetoric. Military experts believe that Iran's nuclear facilities will not be damaged much by a military attack. I don't believe any of that. I think Israel thinks they've got Iran on the ropes. They're waiting for Trump to get in, and then together, both our regime and theirs are going to go in, and they're going to try and make it so they can never have nuclear weapons. And at that point, Katie bar the door. China PLA Rocket Force released New York's video entitled 1 Year, a clip of vows to defend peace and stability with long swords, possibly aiming for counterstrikes in the United States if Taiwan will be invaded. Gas was cut off to residents in the unrecognized Transnistrian after its transit from Russia through Ukraine was stopped. Streets were emptied like a ghost town after Ukraine stopped the transfer. Will the same happen in Europe if something happens? Yes, it will. Update on the SMO, or Russia-Ukraine war, whatever you want to call it. Russian ground troops succeeded in capturing the town of Korotkov in the past 24 hours. After only a few days of fighting at the power station, Russian army conquered it. They are also able to capture further areas south along the fields. In the direction of Pokrovsk, the Russians succeed in capturing the village of Vozdizhenka, southeast of Pokrovsk. Russians also are advancing in Toretsk. In the meantime, they have taken almost all of Toretsk. Only a few buildings are still under Ukrainian control. Geolocalized images prove the Russian presence in the north of the city of Chasiv Yar. The Russians were able to capture 2 districts of Chasiv Yar. U.S. senators are now urging the expedited confirmation of Trump's national security team following the suspected terror attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas. As noted by netizens, the mosque, possibly attended by the New Orleans person, chose a troubling response in face of recent Islamic State terror attacks. Instead of offering condolences to the victims' families, pledging cooperation with authorities, or addressing the media with transparency about their teachings, their primary focus was on the safety of the Muslim community, not the safety of all Americans, regardless of creed or race. They advised their members not to speak to the media or cooperate with the FBI without first consulting Council on American Islamic Relations, also known as CARE. a radical Islamist organization with direct ties with Turkey-based Muslim Brotherhood and the local community. Happy New Year, folks. That is your crisis report for January 1st, 2025. And I got to tell you, I think we're setting up for one hell of a year. So don't freak out. Prep. Do what you got to do to keep yourself safe. Live your life. Don't live in fear. But when you're out there in the world, just assess where my exit's at. What do the people look like? Is anybody acting a little squirrely? Just take a quick little view around and enjoy yourself. We were at a restaurant today. I knew exactly where to go if something were to happen. It's not a bad idea to do an area study or, just a little look. When you get a table, maybe try to get it where it's close to an exit and seat yourself with your back to the wall looking at the rest of the restaurant. Things like that. They're just really just simple little things you can do. And that's not living in fear. That's just looking around. That's all. We live in a world, quite honestly, if you didn't take anything from this broadcast, that one moment you're here, next moment you don't know. So don't freak out. Doesn't mean you gotta never go outside again or sit in your home. Just when you go out, whatever it may be, whether it's the grocery store, the movie theater, the restaurant, stadium, whatever, live your life. But understand how to leave a situation clearly and what you would have to do if there was some kind of an emergency. And it might not even be an attack. It might be something strange. It might be, some kind of a strange chemical from, gets released on accident and the air is bad and you got to get out. What would that look like? I'm not even talking about an attack. I'm just talking about everyday kind of situations. These things happen, okay? All right, friends, we're going to go on over to PrepperNow for the 40,000 subscriber extravaganza. All right? God bless you all. Please hit the like button, do the subscribe thing. Darken out the bell, possibly become a member. It is $2 a month, and it helps keep the lights on. This channel really doesn't make that much, to be honest with you. And it's. I'm not saying that. I get revenue streams from all over the place, but this is not anything that's going to pay my mortgage, and so I'm not going to stop, and I'm not threatening stopping or anything like that. But when you guys just take a couple bucks and do the whole membership things, two things happen. It's a little something, something for the effort, and also it tells Borg that you care. You care about having good information from a guy that curates it and really does take his time to find stuff and pull some things out that should be of major concern. Okay? So I appreciate y'all. God bless. And we will see you on the next one. We're going to go on over to PrepperNow. Thanks so much and Happy New Year.